Thank you. Once again, folks, you're watching us here on Service Electric Cable Channel 13. This can be seen on SSPTV.com 24/7. The show will air, is airing on Wednesday at 12, 3, and 9, and we will be doing repeats of this debate. We ask you to turn to the standard speaker for the times. I want to thank, once again, Tarah, Toohil, and Todd Eachus for being here. Okay, now the question goes to you, Tarah. What's your plan for making sure that schools are adequately funded without exploding property taxes?
Well, we need property tax reform here, and we have been promised property tax reform. We were promised money from the gaming revenues, and it fails to come through. And the people are the ones that are hurting. And if you look at our schools, education is so important. And right now in the Hazleton area, we have overcrowded schools. We have a lack of supplies. We have kids that are in trailers, learning in trailers rather than in classrooms. And we need to revamp the education system. We need to make sure that the teachers are getting the tools and the funding that they deserve in order to teach those children. It's so important. And we need to reduce class sizes. We need to make sure that the teachers' pensions are funded. And I am in support of the defined benefit plan and keeping those pensions for the teachers that work so hard. That's one of the only good jobs that we actually do have here in the area at this point. And I am in support of education. And what we need to do is stop overtaxing the populace, because right now in Harrisburg we have this tax and spend mentality. The people are getting taxed out and they can't bear the burden anymore, and it's hurting the economy. And the legislature just turns around and spends that money, and they spend that money on themselves, on this wasteful government that we have. So we need to reform government in Harrisburg. We need to work to better the education that our children are receiving, and make it a quality education, not based on state testing standards that are onerous to the teachers, where all they do is teach how to test, taking tests. We need to make sure that they're getting a real education where those kids can go out into the market and work as valuable employees.
Thank you. Todd, you got 1 minute to respond.
Sam, the key to public education is making sure that we don't reduce the state subsidy to education. The Republicans in Harrisburg want to cut that state subsidy and shift school property taxes to local taxpayers. That's what they want to do, and that's what I've been fighting for. As it relates to our local school district, they've got to do better. Frankly, I worked to get a 25% increase in 2 consecutive budgets last year and this year for the Hazleton Area School District, and they still increased taxes on taxpayers. I don't think that was fair. We've got to do more with less. We've got to do more teacher training to make sure the competency's there. We've got to give agility to the school districts, allow for pre-K programs like our pre-K counts program. We've got to have educational opportunity grants for schools that allow for flexibility in those school districts. And we've got to make sure that taxpayers' issues are up front. We need more property tax relief, and I've done it through the homestead exemption, through the gaming relief fund, through the property tax rent rebate program, and through the rainy day fund. Once we get back on our feet, the rainy day fund will spill over into the property tax relief fund. There's more to do.
Thank you. Tarah, you got 15 seconds to respond.
You and I both know that we are not getting the property tax relief. No one here in this community feels relieved. People here are suffering, and we need to reform property taxes. We need to find out where that gaming money went and make good on the promise that it is going to relieve the people here.
Thank you. Todd, what is your opinion? Do you believe in term limits?
Well, Sam, I had talked about term limits early in my career, but let me say this. Over the course of my career, I've seen special interests impact legislation in a serious way. The big CEOs who run insurance companies have fought against access to prescription drugs for seniors. The drug companies fought against access to prescription drugs for seniors. It took me 7 years to increase the income eligibility guidelines for senior citizens. If these special interest groups, and we can see the unbridled power on TV of the Supreme Court's ruling that allows for free speech to be cast onto TV commercials that bang you down, inside this political environment. That decision from the Supreme Court was wrong. I don't think it was right. But in the end, corporate interests can slam down legislators who try and do important things. They're trying to do that to me right now as it relates to the Blue Cross companies and the adult basic program covering average citizens in that program. But beyond that, Sam, the other issue is that staff can outweigh you. I had a woman who worked in the Democratic caucus who wanted the Whitehaven Center to be closed. When I first took over, I worked very hard to make sure that the Whitehaven Center maintained its integrity. I had a staff person who tried for 6 years to close that center. My job is advocacy on behalf of the people I represent, to make sure that places like the Eckley Miners Village stay open and make sure that we fight for the things. If you don't have the ability to represent those issues, then you can be beat down by special interests. And I get elected, Sam, to make sure that the people I represent, you, understand that I'm representing the things that you want me to represent in Harrisburg. So, term limits are problematic as it relates to the ability for you to have a continuous understanding of policy and the ability to deliver and stop things from happening as it relates to special interests and staff. It's important to have the seniority you need.